Okay, for this video, we're going to be covering digital breakouts or digital scavenger hunts using Google Forms. So I did include an example of one of the scavenger hunts I used for my class using Back to the Future when we were discussing the history of word processing. So what makes this different from a regular Google form is that whether or not the student is able to continue through the form is based off of their responses. So if they get a response wrong, they cannot continue to the next section. If they get it right, they can continue on through the scavenger hunt. For instance, if you look here at this question, are you ready? If they choose no and click next, it will keep them here in this section. If they click yes and click next, it'll bring them to the next section. So this is a question asking about when word processing, or when paper, I'm sorry, was invented. If they chose 1978 and click next, it keeps them here at this question. But if they choose 9 BC, which is the correct answer, and click next, they can move on. So how do we create one of these scavenger hunts? So open up a new tab, you'll go over to your Google Apps waffle menu and look for Google Forms. Just scroll down if you don't see it. Open up your Google Forms, and we are going to create a new one. So give it a name. Let's say breakout example. We want to, let's add a we want to add a section, which is this little icon down here. It looks like an equal sign. So we can title this section Section 1. We can grab our question if we want. If you look here, we've got some dots at the top. When you hover over those dots, you get these arrows for your cursor. That means that you can move that question, and we're going to move that question to Section 1. All right, we're going to create another section here. Again, add section, and this is going to be Section 2. And in Section 2, we're going to add a question. All right, so we've got a couple sections set up. Again, you can name these sections however you want. You can add descriptions. You can tell a story, whatever you want to do at that point. So let's make our first question. So you can just simply type in a question here, or you can have a question and add an image. If you want to add an image, there's a little icon here. Looks like some mountains. Go ahead and click that. And you are going to browse your computer and look for an image. Select an image, and that'll be on your question. So here's some options down here. Again, you can copy this question or duplicate the question if you need to for some reason. You can delete the question. You definitely want to make these questions required. And then this is where we transform this from a simple Google slide, or I'm sorry, Google form, survey or quiz into a scavenger hunt. These three little dots here next to the required option. Go ahead and click that. So we want to change this to go to section based on answer, which will give you these different options now next to each answer option. So if they answer option 1, we are going to go to section 1, which is the section that it's currently in. So it will stay in this section. We add another option. We can say, okay, this is going to be our right answer. We want them to continue to the next section. We add another option. Again, maybe we have multiple right answers, so we can say they're going to continue to the next section. Option 4, we want that to be a wrong answer. Go to section 1. Now it says go to, which is a little misleading. So we're in section 1. So it just means it's going to say stay in section one. The student will stay, won't be able to get past this section until they give you the right answer. So same thing here. You can go to your next section, add a section title, give a description, and then ask a question. Make sure every time you ask a question, you make it required and change it to go to section based off answer, which will give you these options over to the right of each answer. Again, if you get stuck or a little lost, there is, again, my example here. You can kind of go through it to see how it's set up, and you can play it if you want, just for the experience. Um, but other than that, that's really all you need to know. The rest of this, 80, 90% of this is just you being creative with how you um, ask the questions, how you introduce the sections, and what images or animations you might use for your questions.